Wouldn't it be amazing to go through a checklist of your own run form while you're actually running so that you can finish strong and you can avoid the things that might slow you down on your way to the finish? My name's Steve Gonzer, physical therapist with Run Smart, and I'm gonna walk you through, or maybe is it run you through? Here are my top 4 things to focus on in your own run form. Okay, the first thing on the checklist is to break you away from shuffling. Now here's the thing, most runners, when they get through that later stage of a race or a run and they start to fatigue, they tend to shuffle quite a bit more. They tend to not pick up their feet. Instead, what I want you to focus on is driving from your knee at push off and mimicking what I call the figure 4 position seen here. The figure 4 position is going to keep your stride open. It's going to make sure that when you push off, you go as far as possible down the road every single step. So that is the best place to start when you look at your run form checklist. Next up is posture. A lot of runners really feel like their posture is lacking because we're sitting in front of computers quite a bit, and our number 2 checklist item is to make sure that we have a nice relaxed posture. We don't have to lean forward, and we certainly don't need to lean backwards and work our way down the road like this. So what I want you to focus on posture is the ability to keep yourself just a little bit tipped forward. It's not going to come from the ankle, it's actually just going to come from like maybe an inch or 2 of your chest coming forward, and it should feel comfortable. You don't want to sit into your low back, and you certainly don't want to lean backwards like you're running downhill. Okay, number 3, we're talking about arm movements. Running is a whole body motion. A lot of people think they're just running from their legs, and when you use your arms, you can actually tap into a lot of extra speed. So think about what we've talked about already. Like when you start to get in the later stages, it starts to hurt a little bit more. Where can you focus on? And the nice thing about the upper body is the upper and lower body are in sync when you run. And you're gonna have the ability to actually, as your cadence starts to slow, fight back and really work into it from the upper body. So what I want you to think about is running and keeping yourself in a nice comfortable arm grip. You don't want to be a choo-choo runner, you don't want to be a pocket toucher. You're going to keep a nice comfortable elbow bend, and then from there you're going to work on just rotating to midline. I like to almost think about coming forward and rotating from my trunk. What you don't want to do is, what I see a lot is runners will keep their trunk still and they'll just move their arms, and running is that whole body motion. We want to be here and we want to rotate from the trunk. So think about tucking the back elbow back, rotate from your upper body, and your legs will follow. Number 4, that's 8. Number 4 is to work on your foot placement. So tendency later on and while you're running is to grab as much ground as possible and get these really long strides. Now I always put this as number 4 on my checklist because it takes a lot of practice to really hone in your foot strike, because it's the one thing I mentioned out in this checklist that when you land, it's going to have impact associated with it. So you want to practice a nice soft landing with your knee bent and your foot facing straight down the road. This midfoot strike or a bent knee landing at the very least will keep you from trying to claw your way down the road and actually have the ground try to work against you. So keep that stride nice and short and work through that. So there's 4 things on this checklist. I encourage you to at least pick out 1 or 2 and work through them on your next run, especially when it gets difficult. I included all these items in a checklist you can download at the button down below, and I'll send it right to your email inbox so you can have this with you in reference in the future. But just remember, when things start to go dark, when you start to feel like, oh my God, this is tough, I don't want to do this anymore, or you're struggling in those runs, because we all struggle at some point, go to the checklist, use it, and it will benefit your run form, but also your ability to run fast to the finish line.